writing the letter to Rome, what are they reading when he's writing the letter?
The words
So
of
in
God.
order to answer your question, I want to know how you're using the word Bible the way I use it.
New Testament.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Okay, so if we use the word Bible to mean just the Gospels and epistles, I wouldn't agree with that.
Right, Gospels.
Yeah. So when I hear the word Bible, I'm thinking the document that predated Christ by nearly 2,000 years as well.
Yeah, sorry.
That's right. No, that's the Bible is Old Testament and the New Testament.
Yeah.
Jews never called it the Old Testament.
Right. That would exactly be my position also.
Exactly. So then what did they? Yeah. So what did they have?
So I would argue that what Christ is.
The Torah, right?
Yeah. What Christ is quoting is what we would consider Bible. We would as Christians.
Yeah. Sorry.
No.
Okay.
The Bible is the Bible after the New Testament is added to it. That's the Bible.
Oh, okay. If you are a man standing in the year 100 AD, then I guess. But today, Christians, when they use the word Bible, generally mean the whole thing.
Because that's why we have the argument to say that when he's writing letters to Rome, the Corinthians, Thessalonians, all of them, they don't have a New Testament to abide by. They have, what do they have? They have
Okay, I see what you're asking.
the Pentateuch, or whatever you know.
And they
They had what we would identify as the New
They had a
Testament.
church, exactly, because he's writing the letter to the Corinthians. Like, I didn't think I had to say that 3 times.
Hold on, okay.
It's just,
No, I understand the argument you're making. I've heard Catholics make this argument. The part that I not agree with you on is that we had the scriptures compiled, all of them, 150 years after the death of Christ. They were established, canonized, compiled, and circulated widely. So when Paul wrote a letter to Corinth, the minute it got there, it got copied at least 100 times and distributed. Like these people don't have 5 jobs. They're people whose entire life it is to just copy and deliver and distribute letters. So by the year 200, there were plenty of copies of the New Testament as we would recognize it today, floating around all of these churches all the way into Africa and India.
I don't know if it was
I think you're
canonized
missing
that
the
early.
point. I think you're missing the point, but
By canonized, I mean recognized as divinely inspired and set as the set of documents we're using. So the Catholic Church made that
if you're
formal
talking about
minimum
preservation
Westminster.
or you're talking about distribution, that's not.
But no, okay. We have this really handy thing called the Muratorian Fragment, right? The Muratorian Fragment is the first document that we have that outlines what the books of the Bible are. And it's from like right before the year 200. And it exists from then. So we know that all of those books were established prior.
Is Paul writing letters to
Whoever the title of the epistle
The
is.
church is
are
Corinth.
they churches?
The church is
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. So then the church was established before
Did you hear anything I
the
just said?
scriptures.
The church was not established before. Okay.
Okay, so
Who was he writing letters to? All right, well, I'm going to ask it again. You obviously
Okay.
don't
The
get it.
problem. All right. I'm trying to identify your preconceived. Christ, when he's quoting scripture, is not at all appealing to a Catholic church. He's quoting scripture long before the
It
church
never
ever
once
formed.
said those churches were Catholic.
Does anyone else understand what I'm trying to say?
yes. She's saying that Christ says
established a church. So if he
Agreed.
established churches, and Paul is going around writing letters to them as he's doing his European tour, then those churches were probably established before the Gospels.
No.
So he left the church.
Okay. Hold on. Yeah. So
He
would
didn't
you
leave
say?
the Gospels?
Do you agree that the genesis of the Church is Pentecost?
yes.
Okay, Michaela's with me. I don't know if Barth is with me. The establishment of the churches at Pentecost, then yes, the church predates all of the New Testament. However, right, the church does not predate Scripture or Yahweh's revelation. So to say that the church whether it's the Methodist or the Orthodox
Wait,
or the
who's Yahweh?
Ethiopians or the Catholics.
You mean Jesus' word.
Yahweh is
He is
God.
the word. I don't know when you said Yahweh there, I kind of got like my lips started to move like rapidly. You mean Jesus?
No,
Was
when
the
I
one
said
who
Yahweh, I
entered the
meant
Torah.
Yahweh.
I don't know. Maybe you've been hanging out too many cows.
Could we get used to saying more of Jehovah? Jehovah. That too. Yeah. No, that's what the Jehovah's
We're gonna be angry. Use your hope.
So I have more information on the Virgin Mary. So she was a virgin her entire life. So before birth, during birth, and after birth, and at the time of death. And we know this through two separate councils, a papal affirmation, and it's also part of the magisterial teaching.
Yeah. Do you know where both of those sources sat from?
Well, it starts with the Second Council of Constantinople,
Yeah.
which gives it as a title, and as a title, it means that it's an assumption, and assumptions at councils are only possible when there's universal reception.
They get it from the Proto-Evangelium of James. That's where they get that belief about Mary, which is a very early document but has never been canonized by anyone ever. So that's the council is not the dawn of that belief.
The Second Council made a dogmatic definition, the Lateran Council 649. The Catechism of the Church makes it part of the magisterial synthesis, and the papal information makes it a heresy to deny it. So anyone who denies the Virgin Mary always remaining always in a virginal integrity, namely before birth, in birth, and after birth. Denial of this is heresy.
Well, hold on. Denial of, oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. So by that logic, lots of things are heresy that are not heresy. Like, no, hold on. Like the veneration of icons. Those same councils decided that if you don't venerate icons, you're anathema, you're not saved. If you don't
It's heresy because of a separate papal declaration that was done later.
It's a circular logic, because she's not going to.
Mir, thank you.
No, there's no circular logic.
No, well, it's not circular logic, but she's not. It's a cult to authority that she doesn't accept. She's not going to accept the papal declaration. It's not circular logic.
And what I'm saying is, prior to all of those councils and the papal declaration, they're completely getting it from the Proto-Evangelion of James, which has never been authorized as canon by any church, including the Catholics.
None of these councils or declarations make any reference to that. And
But
as I
that's
said,
where they get it, because that's the only place it exists.
well, maybe that's where they get it. I don't know.
It's 100% where they get it.
All I know is that it's a required doctrine that is
So
part of dogma,
so what
which
do
is
they do with
binding.
James?
What's that?
What do they do with James? Like, where does James?
James is an interesting question, and they're well aware of that issue.
Cousin, the word can be translated as or understood as cousin.
Yeah, so it says here the
Friend or
Catholic
anything.
So
But
James
that's
is a
not-
cousin.
The Catholic explanation is linguistic and cultural. The Greek word and the Semitic usage behind it covers a range of cousins, close relatives, clan members.
Yeah, so the Catholic argument
Okay,
is
so
that,
they say James is not a brother. So according to the Catholic argument, that Joseph did not have any children.
correct, Jesus was Mary's only child in Catholic
No, but
understanding.
what about Joseph? Did he ever have any more children?
No, they don't, well, okay, so again, in the Proto-Evangelion of James, what it says is that Joseph was actually a generation older than Mary, and that he was her kinsman redeemer. So he married her because she was a priestess of the temple when she was in service of the Lord, right? And this is a Catholic belief about her. And they have all sorts of other beliefs about how early she spoke and miracles she did and sins she'd never committed and all of this, right? So in this document, it's described that she becomes pregnant with the Messiah, and Joseph is her kinsman redeemer, like Ruth and Boaz, meaning like he's a generation older and he saves her, and you know all
No,
that
that
stuff.
can't be though.
I agree.
No, I'll tell you why it can't be, even according to them, because a king's redeemer would mean that she was married and her husband died with no children.
I agree.
So then she's not a virgin.
This is no. So they don't think that she was married. They think that she was like 14. The reason she needed redemption was because she was pregnant.
I don't think
But
that
how
was
it works.
church teaching.
I know. So
Wait,
the
who needed
idea.
redemption?
So when they use the phrase kinsman redeemer in the documents, right? They're not using it in the legal sense. They're saying that she was going to be thrown away. She had no future. So he comes along. Joseph has the opportunity to put her away quietly, meaning that she would have to go live her life, whatever she was doing. She was unclean now. She couldn't be in service to the temple, which is what she had trained for her whole life.
So
But
confused.
instead,
What are we talking about?
What
Mary.
What does it mean
Instead,
to be in
Well,
service to the
that's
temple?
not the position of the Catholic Church at all.
hold on. So in the Proto-Evangelion of James, which is where all of this comes from about Mary's virginity and her role before the birth of Christ and all of that, this is what it states. And they will argue that the reason that it says there are 14 generations in one of the genealogies from whoever to Christ. There's 14 and there's actually 13 if you count them. And the Catholic Church will say the explanation for this is that Joseph is a generation ahead of her. He redeemed her from a lifetime of whatever would have been from being pregnant out of wedlock. And then that begins their marriage. Now, because he redeemed her, it would have been improper for them to have any sexual contact or relationship. Therefore, she must have been a virgin forever.
I don't know what we're talking about. The position of the Catholic Church is that the Virgin Mary was conceived without sin.
Yes.
So she never had original sin.
Correct.
And she was sinless her entire life.
Yes, that has nothing to do with anything I just said.
Yeah,
Well,
bro. That's church, bro.
She didn't get any redemption. I just.
Oh my gosh, okay. Let me say it again.
With the word redemption, I guess.
The way I'm using the word, okay, are you
Let's
familiar
go
with
to a classic kinsman redemption. The Hebrew word is yibum. A classic kinsman redemption is a guy is married to a woman.
Boaz and Ruth.
Dies. Well, Boaz and Ruth was not classic because they're not brothers.
He had to get permission from the, I see.
From colonial money.
What's her name? The prostitute who took her father-in-law.
How could she have been
Told
pregnant?
Lot, but that's
there
also
you go.
not proper. That's also not proper yibum. Proper yibum, the classic example is there are two brothers, A and B. A marries a woman, dies without children. B is now tied to that woman, which overrides the classic prohibition of marrying your brother's wife, and he must redeem her and give children in place of his brother. Now, either he can do that, or he can go through a ceremony of she removes his shoe and shows that, and it breaks the connection. But that's what a kinsman redeemer means. Like he has to give her children in place. The two biblical stories, which are both atypical, is Boaz and Ruth. That's probably the most famous one, and the second one is Tamar and Judah. Tamar marries Judah. Oh, that's you mean the prostitute.
That's what I meant, the prostitute. Yes.
She poses as a prostitute. She's not a prostitute.
Well, she does sleep with her father. Well, anyway, she takes money for it.
She takes his staff and then gives it back and shows that it was him. But
Mary never
Hold
becomes
on.
pregnant.
Genesis 38. This is Genesis.
it's around 38 sounds late. So yeah, it's earlier than that because 38's too far in.
But hold on, before we go down there. Okay,
It's
so
the
Mayor.
middle of the Joseph story. It's like a break in the Joseph story.
Yeah, Joseph is 39.
Hold on. Okay, wait.
This is
So Mayor, you know how Catholics view Mary as the second Ark of the Covenant? Are you familiar with this?
No.
Okay, so they view her because she's a vessel that carried the Messiah. They see her as an echo of both Eve. She corrected what Eve did wrong, and she's a symbol of the Ark of the Covenant because she's carrying the Messiah, and so she takes on this role that has this way more than regular power. So is she the actual Ark? No, but they draw the parallel. So when I see doctors of the Catholic Church throughout history writing about the Redeemer aspect of Joseph and Mary out of the Proto-Evangelion, it's because they're using that same kind of echo. Mary could have been put away. Joseph, hold on, just let me finish with Mary real quick. Mary could have been put away, but Joseph, because he was a good and godly man, redeemed Mary. So it's this echo to a theme that had been running through the Old Testament, that God uses the youngest, the littlest, the weakest, and brings about salvation through this person and elevates them. So that's how Mary gets the status in Catholicism. Now, all that to say, the rest of the entirety of Christendom rejects this. But that's
None of that
That's
is
actually-
possible under Catholicism. She never got pregnant by any man ever in her whole life.
Euro, hold on. Where do you hear me say? Okay.
No,
That's why I don't know what this kinship redeemership you're talking about.
Okay,
She was never pregnant.
Right, we went through this already. She's being redeemed from having a baby out of wedlock. The problem with that argument is there is nothing to redeem from. Having a baby out of wedlock doesn't forbid you from anything.
I
What do
agree,
you mean
but
by
that's
baby
why
out of
they'll
wedlock?
argue. Euro, hold on just a second.
She was
They will
pregnant.
say.
She said it was God. Joseph, I guess,
Yes.
believed her, and I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's the baby out of wedlock.
Okay, so if, do you guys remember in the Gospels when he says Joseph resolved to put her away quietly?
Yes, I do
Right?
remember that. Yes.
Okay, this is
Wait,
a
one second.
concept.
I'm gonna get a call in a minute. What does it mean to be in service of? What did you say she was in service of? What?
And this is what the Proto-Evangelion says, is that she was in service of the temple, so she's a temple
does that
maiden.
mean?
I don't know. I'm not Catholic. I have no idea.
There is no concept of someone being. The only story in all of Tanakh of a woman being in service of something, possibly, is the judge when he came home from battle. He said, "The first thing I see, I will sacrifice to the Lord." It was sinful that he did that, and he saw his daughter,
Yep.
and then the girl's quiet for a bit. Now, it's possible he actually sacrificed her, which would be a sin, or she lived like a life in like solitude. Because it's not really clear what happens there. But there's no such concept.
Here we go.
And that was sin. That was a sin.
Here's what it is.
He should have done it.
In the Proto-Evangelium of James, a temple maiden refers to the Virgin Mary's role as a consecrated child living within the Holy of Holies, dedicated to God's service, fed by angels, and set apart from the ritual impurity of the world. I will stress again that only Catholics believe this is a thing.
No,
There's nothing in that is in scripture.
no, we don't. I was never taught the Proto-Evangelium. I'm reading here what the discrepancy is. The word until, made a virgin until, after the birth. And the Catholic's interpretation of that is until does not always imply a change afterwards. For example, in Samuel 6:23, it says Michal had no children until her death, meaning never.
Yeah, okay, so hold on. That's a separate.
And we don't use, I don't think we use the Proto-Evangelium.
Hold on.
I have never been
Catholic
taught.
theology is very explicit that
The word
Joseph
until is
is not a
separate.
levirate husband.
What?
Okay,
Well,
hold on.
let's hear Euro. What'd you say?
I said the Catholic
gosh.
theology is explicit that Joseph is not a levirate husband.
Okay,
He's not,
so
he's not married.
what I'm trying to say here is that when Euro cites the two councils that he did, that he's citing them as an authority. So he's saying, we know Mary was a perpetual virgin because of these two councils. My response to him was, the source that the councils are pulling is the Proto-Evangelion of James.
Are they quoted? Is it quoted
Oh
in
my
those
gosh.
councils? No, excuse me. Is it quoted?
The first council
I
says
feel like I'm trying really hard to just get through one single thought.
No. If you're assuming that that's the source.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are they-
okay, hold
is
on,
it
hold on, hold on,
quoted in
hold
the
on.
councils? Is it referred to in the councils?
This document, which was widely circulated in the first 200 years, holds a lot of the doctrine around Mary that exists nowhere else. So it's like
It wasn't
saying,
part of
hold on,
the canon.
let me get through it. Hold
It
on.
wasn't part of the canon.
I can't, Michaela, hold on. Okay. First of all, the Catholics don't believe in a close of canon, so we've got an issue there with you using that word that way.
We do.
What I mean is, if in 2025, okay, I tweet something and I say I went to Walmart, okay, there aren't multiple the implication is that Walmart exists, right? Everybody knows what Walmart is. 1,000 years from now, they're going to be arguing about whether Walmart existed based on my tweet. So in the councils, when they say that Mary had this role and was a perpetual virgin, the source of that is the Proto-Evangelium of James. This isn't like, okay, it's not a book that's in the Bible. It's not a book that's canonized. It's a document that so heavily influenced early church thought that it wound up in the council. councils. So you will not see Marian doctrine outside of this document and prior to the councils. That's my whole argument. There's nothing out, like, that's where it comes from.
You're assuming that.
I'm not even saying it's wrong, Michaela. I'm telling you that is where it comes from.
Well, I disagree.
You can't disagree. That's the.
Yeah,
This is not a.
quoted? Was it
This
quoted
is
in the
not a
part of
point.
the canon? Were
Okay.
they referring to that as the source, the scriptural source of their teaching?
Okay, Michaela. Again, if I make a tweet referring to Walmart, I'm not going to cite Sam Walton because everyone knows what Walmart is. What I'm telling you is that when we look at history and when we look at the early saints and their writings, what they quote, how they quote it, where it appears, the year that it came from, the city that it came from, and the councils that, like, church history is very clear on this, right? So I'm not telling you it's satanic. I'm not telling you it's wrong. I'm not telling you it's untrue. I'm telling you the Catholic belief around Mary is sprouting from this very, very early document attributed to James. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Translation of that word, the understanding of that word until.
No, that's a totally separate topic.
Oh, really?
So,
Yes.
I asked GPT and it says it's impossible that it could have been based on the proto-evangelium of James, and no council would ever use that as a basis because it's considered apocryphal and therefore has no doctrinal.
Oh my gosh, you're the Catholic Church holds to the Apocrypha, right? Why? Okay, I don't argue with ChatGPT, but I'm going to entertain this for a second. If ChatGPT is telling you that the Catholic Church would reject something apocryphal, every Catholic on earth is going to tell you that's wrong.
Well, it's saying that this
I don't argue with ChatGPT. You're
was
going to have
never
to take that
cited
up
by
with
an
someone
ecumenical
else.
council. Well, I mean, I just don't see anything that points
What
to
you
this.
just read was utterly fallacious and ridiculous. So maybe ChatGPT would try again because
Well, it seems like if the council was going to base it on this doctrine, they would say so, right?
You just said that your ChatGPT robot told you that Catholics reject the Apocrypha. You're gonna have to pardon me if I tuned out everything you said after that.
It says they don't base their teachings on the proto-evangelium because it's apocryphal.
Okay, so that is a completely fallacious and
The
untrue thing that
apocryphal
ChatGPT
is referring to different books. The extra books.
Okay, I feel
It's not the
like
same thing.
everyone in this room is not, okay. Michaela,
I don't know
When
of any
he just
Catholic
argued-
dogmas that are based on apocrypha, but maybe you do.
when you guys are arguing, okay, when ChatGPT is arguing that the Catholic Church would reject something because it's apocryphal, that would also mean that the Catholic Church would universally reject the Deuterocanon, which it doesn't. So I don't know.
Because the church doesn't. Oh God.
You're mixing up the word is being used in two different.
Yeah, the Apocrypha and Deuterocanon are the
Using
same.
in different contexts.
Yeah. Using
Hey,
different
look.
words for apocrypha.
I'm listening to all this about Mary, and I'm just saying, like, when Mary went up to Jesus and tried to tell Jesus about the wine running out, and Jesus told her, "Woman, what you got to do with me?"
That's because he meant the second Eve. They have a whole argument about her being the second Eve, and when he referred to her as woman, he was calling her Eve, the mother of all mankind. They thought of that one already.
Except I got a question to Michaela here, because I know Michaela, you're very Catholic. When you say apocryphal, then what do you mean by that? Because it seems like you're saying there's a distinction between the apocrypha and the apocryphal.
Well, maybe that I understood it as meaning maybe what are those books that we rejected, the books that help me here, Euro.
Like what? So give an example then.
Like I'm trying to think of the name, the
Did they have like the pseudepigraphal gospels?
No, what is, I'm sorry, I'm trying, it's those, what is that class of books, they would have the childhoods of Jesus and all that.
The Gnostic gospels?
What Gnostic, right?
Okay, wait, what? No, she's not, hold on.
Gnostic.
She's not talking about the Deuterocanon, she's talking about the Gnostic gospels.
So what did you mean by apocryphal, Euro? I understood it more in that sense. Euro, what did you mean by apocryphal?
That's like you took it from an AI.
It's
that gave it a
books that were
definition.
considered, it's extra books. There was a lot of books written around that time, and the church sold to which ones that, were gonna be part of the New Testament. And that one was not, and so he calls it apocryphal. Then the Catholics had 4 extra books that were written between, in Greek. I'm not really good at this, but they were written after I think the Jewish canon was closed or something, but then we included them in the Protestants don't. But I think we're referring to one of those books, this one of James, that it just wasn't included in the canon.
Right, but neither was Tobit or Maccabees or Wisdom. So that's why whatever ChatGPT just told you. Okay, look.
Yeah.
So the Catholics don't see a close of canon the same way the Protestants do, right? So we think that at the Book of Revelation, that when John finished penning that, and when Paul had finished his epistles that were found and preserved, that's it. And we believe that because Scripture says nothing more will be added or taken away or altered, that's the end of it. The apostolic, the Catholic, and the Orthodox belief is that things could still be divinely inspired. So a saint who was martyred, who was writing in 300, who was writing about doctrine, or a pope speaking ex cathedra, which happens very rarely, can also become part of what they would consider like a secondary canon, right?
Yeah.
So that's a huge division between Catholics and Protestants.
Yeah, and can you give me the Catholic argument for including those extra books?
Which ones? The Deuterocanon?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know the words.
Tobit, Maccabees, Wisdom, Judas.
Right. Is
Okay,
that
yeah.
considered the Apocrypha?
So those are the books that are in the intertestamental period, right? So that's between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Okay,
And
so
why
we're
do
not.
Catholics include them? What's their argument?
Yeah. So we're not talking about anything after the birth of Christ. We're talking about during the 400 years of
Right.
Those books, which are called the Deuterocanon, and we use the word apocrypha, but that's not the right word. The Catholic Church has called that the Deuterocanon. Okay.
Right.
The Deuterocanon is included because it's important history. It fills in a lot of blanks, and also Christ cites them. So Christ actually.
Like, really? How many misinformation things are you going to stand up on the stage and bloviate about? Like, you're crazy if you think that he did not make an impact in that election and voters between the ages of 18 and 29.
I think most people agree with that. Even Democrats will agree with his influence.
Big fan, butt naked. I was like, I needed something,
Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Like,
Did you talk to the doctor about it?
oh yeah. She said it's
right? And I'm no fan of Trump, but there is like this is every man's man, even though he's a billionaire. I don't know how they do that, but it's like you kind of
Ever heard of the
that
term
from-
demagogue?
Yeah,
Familiar with the term demagogues?
I hear that term and I never know what it means.
it means what it sounds like.
Yeah, I hear it, but it's like I never. I always
If you had a guess, you guessed correctly.
I always think they're saying demigod, right?
That's why if you had a guess, you'd get it correct.
Yeah, but Trump, I think he's the greatest politician of all time. Not a president, but just to be.
What?
And I'm gonna tell you why. To be able to go, like what Benjamin said, to go through all these debates, having.
Link, is that what you're telling me?
You know what? In fact, everybody, let's have a funeral for the Link.
Not Link. That Link is officially retired. I'm done.
Thank you. That Link is that one is yes. Some of your white brethren, although we know you're a Latino, but some of your white brethren say crazy things. Yes, we know. We don't care about this one person. He doesn't even work at NYU anymore. Because NYU is a shithole. So who cares what they do? It's a shitty institution.
Somebody
It's a shitty education.
What progressive, like, are we talking about progressive on the left? Are we talking about progressive on the right?
There's only progressive on the left. He's talking about.
There's only progressive on the left.
Yeah, he's talking about the people he made up in his head. Ain't nobody else talking about that video today. He made that shit up. He made it straight off. That being said, y'all may get my conspiracy theory bag. Fuck it. Let's do it. Mom Donna Mondami sympathizes with the boy because the boy's Indian. Y'all not ready for that discussion. I'm done speaking.
Or isn't that he just politely was just saying, I feel sorry for the boy? Yes.
Kids, boy. Okay. Rex. When I played trumpet in school growing up, that is very hard to play. It sounds easy. That is very hard to play.
Yeah.
Especially beautiful like that. Oh yeah, and to stay in tune too. That is very hard to hit the right notes. That is very hard to play.
Yep.
That version he got was quite nice. That was actually very nice.
That was beautiful. That was real sharp. It was like you hit it. That was like practice that for quite some time. I used to play the flute. So
The flute is easy to stay in tune. I mean, there's no real embouchure. That's easy to stay in tune.
not those high notes. I'm not comparing it to the trumpet, sir. How you gonna compare it to the trumpet when that wasn't the reason why I brought up that I played the flute? I was just saying I was in the West. What's going on?
I want to compare them. I'm not doing it.
I don't want you to compare them.
I think the flute, like the clarinet, were for girls. And the reason why is because boys are better than girls at instruments. So they gave you remedial instruments.
Dan, if you want to traumatize yourself, wait and listen to the trumpet being played by, let's say, any unit of the Nigerian army when they're having like the guard of honor. You're gonna die laughing. So when one of their leaders comes by and he's getting a guard of honor, they play it in the background.
Yeah, I've heard.
It's the funniest thing ever.
Not only have I heard that, I've actually heard Nigerian opera companies in Nigeria, and let me tell you, me and First Lady singing some of that shit. So it's pretty bad. But Nigerian music in Nigeria like that is sort of like Nigerian food. They all think it's good because they don't know any better.
Yep.
Right, let's get back to the topic. I believe that Mondami is used this as a distraction, so we all don't think that and talk about how Jeffrey Epstein is his daddy. Done speaking. Oh yes, you don't know about that?
Wait a minute. What happened?
His mama is in that scene.
His mom was married to somebody named Epstein.
Ooh.
They got Marinaire is Hanmandani's mother. She's the very famous director. She directed Mississippi Marsala. She directed I think Monsoon Wedding. She directed Vanity Fair with Kirsten Dunst. Let me do a side note on that. That is a brilliant novel. I was stunned how bad the film was. Those big Victorian novels, Thackeray, White, Dickens and stuff, that's just, obviously George Eliot is absolutely stunning. The British can write a fucking novel. All the way through Graham Greene. It's just the big there. Comrades, it's Tesla, this is fantastic. Hardy, etc. Henry James, although Henry James is American, that he calls up British discussion. Let me just continue. She was married to him, and about a year and a half later, Zohan Mamdani was born. Just leave it right there.
For someone who doesn't live on Twitter, you do get a lot of news.
Alan said something backfired.
Wait a minute. Alan who?
I don't know.
I see. An email said Trump worries an FBI brother, but it's not a participant at backfired.
Yeah, I'd like to see that email. People, what I hate about, the elections are over. Can we just, how did it backfire? There's a bunch of people going around saying, "Oh yeah, Trump's not involved in Epstein files." It backfired so much that when you ask people in the administration, they move on. Did you see they asked his wife yesterday? She was doing a Israeli hostage event. Melania.
What?
They asked about the Epstein files.
Oh Lord.
She had the press conference. She had a thing for some Israeli hostages, and when they asked her about it, it was crickets.
That's the one where they asked her, does she think it's okay for her to use the White House to promote her book? And she said it's not. That's
For anybody who knows anything about the civil rights movement that does not know the white ladies who were freedom riders. I listened to that whole conversation yesterday. Not one person brought up the freedom riders. It is insane to me that people think because they don't know a thing and someone else on Clubhouse doesn't know a thing, that thing did not exist. I was stunned in that moment. And I was particularly stunned because there are the lady's name, Joan Mulholland, how she wants to Mulholland, very famous white lady from the civil rights. Her name didn't come up one time.
Did anybody Google it or did they try?
Well, I didn't want to go there
Okay.
because there was a Googling, and the Googling had somebody reading black people's names.
you talking about Big E's room? Was that Big E?
You were the one that did the Googling, yes, sir.
No, that is what AI came up with, and I was saying how ironic. That's what AI came up with. I didn't imply that no white women helped during the civil rights movement. That wasn't it. So why do you speak? No, but why didn't you speak in the room? Like, why are you speaking about it now?
Because I was at work.
Oh, okay.
So some of us are at work.
Nobody assumed that, but you're saying something. Nobody assumed that. No,
That's exactly what he assumed.
No, I don't know what anybody assumed. I don't.
How do you say nobody assumed that? So what happened was
because you said that. No, you said that. You
I know.
made this implication.
I was there the whole time.
No, you made an implication that somebody didn't know because somebody didn't know it didn't happen. Nobody said anything like that.
Actually, what happened was, why you cut me off? Actually, what happened was, he said name 5 white women who were involved in the civil rights movement. nobody could name one, and you all took that as evidence that white women did not participate in any significant way in the civil rights movement. Then you went to AI, and because they gave black names, you were arguing, see, even AI can't get any. I was there the whole time. That's exactly what happened.
Because for a fact, we know that there were more than that. What the point is that whether you did an AI or a Google, it didn't bring it up. That was the irony.
Of course it brings it up. Just Google it. Of course it brings it up.
That's all it was. There was no long elaborate. I wasn't even in the conversation like that. I just did a quick search when he asked the question. That was it. So, like I said, in the future, you should just really either come on stage and speak or whatever. But like, come on, man, come in.
So I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking.
Yes, you are. Yes,
I couldn't speak. So I'm seeing you now.
So then why speak now? So then
because I'm seeing you now. Because I want to say it
there now.
We're
not there now. We're not there now.
Okay, I got it. So you just said if I Google white women civil rights movement, I'll get black people. Let's do it in real time.
I told you what AI said at that point. No, I said when I did the search, that's what AI
just said that
down the list. That's all. That's all I did.
All right.
Yeah, that's all I did.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm sure you do a further. I just did a quick search. That was
right there.
That was
Gotcha. I got you. There were white women, there were white men, there were black people, there were black men, black women.
So the link that I posted.
Hold on a second, Snoopy.
The point that I was making is that search rendered. I didn't think it rendered a valid search. That was the point.
So your point in the discussion about civil rights and white people, you were making a point about AI technology?
I didn't make.
How was that your main?
Somebody, Big E. Let's put a name on it. Big E asked a question, and all I did was plug the question in. That's it. That's all I did. And I read what it came back. That was it. I didn't contribute anything else to the conversation outside of that. That was it. So I didn't spend an exorbitant
amount of time.
Okay, so that was it. But like now you want to come on, man.
Right. So my point is just because you Google something and you don't know how to Google or prompt AI doesn't mean the thing.
First of all, don't say what I don't know how to do.
Clearly you don't.
No. You don't know what I know.
Sir,
I don't know what you know.
Sir.
I don't know what you know.
Sir.
How can you tell a person like what their knowledge base is and so on and so forth? Come on, man. Like, come on, knock it off. Knock it off, man. Come on, like,
sir.
I'm not even having this conversation because it's a dumb conversation. Like,
I'm gonna have the conversation because I want to, because I'm about to say something. So you knew how. So when you started reading, I know it's tough. When you started reading, you said Grimmicky. You were talking about Grimmicky. First of all, you're not pronouncing it correctly. They were Grimke. They were in the 19th century. So clearly, if we're talking about the civil rights movements of the 1950s and 60s, and you're reading people from the 1850s, 1870s, and 1910s, that means you don't know how to prompt.
All right, so let's do this, right? I wasn't in ChatGPT. I just put it in the browser. Sometimes the browser will bring up several selections, right? It'll give you feedback, and then you can press on the AI, and you can go in a little further. That's all I did, plain and simple.
Yeah, prompting AI is.
I mean, like, I didn't even go get on. It wasn't even that deep. It really wasn't that deep.
Nothing's deep.
So
my larger point was
some things are deep. Some things are deep. In that moment, in the context of that right there, you should comment on the other parts of the conversations that were being had.
Like
for some reason, you want to zero in. You want to zero in on the 25 seconds of when I did a search. What about the rest of the conversation? Can you elaborate on that? Are there some other points? And the
larger point was, the larger point is just because I don't know something. So someone asked me, who was the physicist who did X, Y, and Z in Prussia? And I go, well, I can't name anybody. I don't assume that there wasn't one. That's the larger larger point.
I agree with that. Who would
Well, that was what I was making. And then First Lady asked me, and I explained that. But the point is the Grimkeys, not the Grimkeys. The Grimkeys were not in
was it
the
G-R-I? I don't even remember the spelling, so I had never encountered the word. I pronounced it as best I could. That was it. It wasn't a deep, like, perhaps you should have engaged with Big E.
Perhaps I was at my job.
Okay, you said that. So, I mean, we can ping him in here and he can elaborate and speak on it further.
I don't need to elaborate. The point is that just because we don't know something doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
We all know that.
No, we don't know
I
that
agree.
because
I agree with you on that.
We don't, because people were saying yesterday that white women weren't involved in the civil rights movement because they couldn't name anybody.
Yeah, the people, I don't know why people would think that, but that's what was being said.
Incredible.
So,
How was your day, Bethany?
it was busy, super busy.
Let me say something first, lady. Let me say something too. I actually agree with what said in the chat. I think I think they're being modeled to give less and less correct information. That's my conspiracy theory. I agree.
I think
This AI overview is literally killing people's brains.
there are studies that are saying that. There are studies that are saying that it is hurting.
You read the AI overview yesterday.
Sir, I know AI extremely well. Now that I do. I know about AI. Yes, I do. So the point is this, right? I, in my opinion, from what I see, people are relying on AI and they don't have the subject matter experts to really synthesize the feedback that they get from it. Right? And there are many studies out there. I'm studying the AI bubble, right? Different aspects of what I and some others believe is happening. An AI bubble is being created. And so I've been learning a lot, like what that would look like and what the negative aspects of AI are and how it's affecting people in real life, the businesses and so on and so forth, right? So with that search yesterday, that was just some humble shit, man. It wasn't even that deep. It was just like, I mean, come on. How can I do a search like that and it comes up with black names? Like something is wrong. Something is wrong. It was not an accurate feedback that we got at all.
It was accurate. What do you mean? The Grimke sisters were white.
Well, it only
was accurate.
On that list, it included black people as well. On that list, and I'm going to check my browser to see if I still have this.
Okay. Well, anyway, this I don't know, man. Black people just think they know black stuff because they're black. Black people don't think they need to do any reading or study. They think by virtue of being black, they know black history. The amount of misinformation is insane. But anyway, that was the point.
Are you open to an alternate explanation, Dan? Because there's another.
What? About black history?
No. As to why is it that the role of non-black people in the civil rights movement, the freedom riders, why is it that the younger generation wants to bury it and hide it? And I think you should open your mind.
No. They weren't young. They're old. Okay. They're older than me. These are people who are 10, 15, 20 years older than me that were speaking. It's not that they don't know the white ones, Snoopy. They don't know any of them except the big names.
Okay, well, let me give an explanation, and then I urge you to criticize.
People don't know that. Let me ask you, Snoop. Who are the Freedom Riders?
The Freedom Riders, many of them were young white people. They took the bus down. 2 of them were murdered. 2 of the white ones were murdered. The murdered ones were honored by a multiracial coalition. And in fact, Jacobin magazine, my favorite magazine, writes about them all the time because Jacobin is trying to build a multiracial, multi-ethnic, progressive movement. And that's what I was about to address, right?
So, 1 second, Snoopy, calm down. Nobody wants to hear your monologue. And so what you just said, most people on the app don't know that, regardless of age.
I agree with you, but I'm trying to make a very narrow point, which is...
Go ahead, Snoopy, make a point.
I'm making a very narrow point. You are a fair-minded, ethical person.
Please don't speak on me personally.
Okay, I'm not speaking of that. What I'm simply saying is Many of the progressives on this app are accelerationists. They want to see a race war. They want to gin up racial hatred. So that's the reason why you go in most rooms and they say, all white people oppressed us. There was not a single white person that helped in civil rights. And for example, in the South African rooms, they say every single white person was in favor of apartheid. It justifies killing all the whites.
What South African rooms? Where can I find South African rooms?
I'll send you links in a minute. I'm about to let my plane, okay?
But listen, before you keep going, none of the people in the room were progressive.
Okay, well, just allow me to finish, and then you can correct me, okay? What I am representing is there are plenty of people on Clubhouse that want a bloody race war, and they slander other races. That's all I'm saying. And I think that feeds into what
you're repeating yourself. Come on,
I like this feedback. Yeah, this is more accurate. What I'm looking at right now is better, right? So it says it was named five white women, which was the question it was asked. Name 5 white women who helped civil rights. This makes sense. What I'm looking at. It's Virginia Durr, who else? Joan Trepor, Mary White Ovington, Casey Hayden. Yeah, that's right there. This was
that your prompt yesterday? Was that your prompt yesterday?
You know what? I guess it wasn't this prompt, but
that's actually not a good prompt for what he was asking you, because he didn't ask for white women that helped civil rights. He asked for white women who were in the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s. Civil rights didn't just start in 1950. That's why it's a bad prompt, because that's why you would get the Grimke sisters. You could also get somebody like Lydia Marie Child. You could also get somebody like Harriet Beecher Stowe. You could also get somebody like Mary Wollstonecraft. You could also get somebody like the Duchess of Huntington. You could also get somebody like, it goes on and on, Sarah Pogson. Those people were in the early 19th century. That's not a good prompt.
This prompt, I just put in, said, name 5 white women who helped civil rights. That was the prompt, and that's the feedback that I got. That's the feedback, so there we go.
So the lesson is, just because we don't know something doesn't mean that something doesn't exist. That's what I learned yesterday, First Lady, to answer the question. Also learned that in Black History Month, Black people need to stop acting like by virtue of being Black, they know Black history. That arrogant is insane. All right, I'm done. I will say, real quick, my favorite moment yesterday in the room was when somebody said, John Brown, I can't.
Yeah, I did hear that.
That took me out. I've never.
I was in and out of the room. I did hear that.
That was a fascinating take. That to me was fascinating. The person said John Brown had ulterior motives, as if those would matter. I don't want to be free because the person freeing me, trying to free me, has ulterior motives. So don't free me unless that is the only people. I mean, that's kind of silly. But the person never named what the ulterior motives was. I'm telling you, man, this app is. But Concrete's here, and you can see, they can talk about finance, monetary policy, and Bitcoin. I want all the Bitcoin people to come in, because I was told with Trump, we had to get Trump for Bitcoin. And I see that since Trump has been in, it's down almost 40%. So let's get the Bitcoin maxis up so me and Concrete can tell them, we told you so. Done speaking.
For Bitcoin enthusiasts,
Bitcoin talk. No.
I agree. I'll never discuss Bitcoin.
I've never heard that in my life from anybody, let alone a Black person. John Brown. He got ulterior motives. Fuck him. It was deep and orotund. It was stentorian. Almost lugubrious. John Brown. So, oh my God. I never heard that before.
And why did they say
that? Was crazy.
But why did they say that? Because I came in the room and I heard it.
I've never heard anybody say it. By the time I picked my jaw off the ground, I think they had moved on. I don't know why they said it. I've never heard it.
It's about the ass time. Bitcoin's gonna be a hedge against the market.
But it doesn't have it ebb and flows, doesn't it go up and down and around?
No, they said it will always go up. And this was another reason why he had to elect Trump. This was one of the main arguments for Trump.
Yeah, was he was gonna be the pro-Bitcoin guy. Do you know that shit is down to, what is it, 60?
Kobe, why are you trying to come up with all your different
I'm like
characters?
60K right now. 62, 63, something like that. I think it peaked over 100K. I think it was over 100K at one point. It's down almost 40% since he took office.
Damn.
You're talking about losing your shirt. People have lost shirts. They took their shirt and took their hat. They left it all on the sunny side of the street.
I mean, but some people say, well, it sounds like the people that are still in it said they don't really need the money anyway. They got money.
That's what we always say when we lose money. You know, I think last casino lose $200,000. I said,
Man, why you like, man?
I didn't need my retirement. I took $200,000 out of my retirement. I didn't really need that. So they always say all the time. All the time. You always say you lose. I didn't need that $50. You sitting at home in the corner crying, eating some onion soup mixed in hot water. Well, baby, we gonna have some onion soup. But mommy, we don't have no onions. I got some Lipton onion soup mix and some hot water. That's what we gonna have. Okay. Yeah, that's what these people are. Have you noticed that, First Lady? I know you don't really get into that, but have you noticed how people aren't really talking about Bitcoin like you used to hear it all the time a year, 2 years ago? It was all the time. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Don't nobody talk about it. It's like Gaza. Don't nobody talk about it.
My theory is that the people who are into Bitcoin and crypto, a contingent, have moved over to the prediction markets and point and cash exploit.
Oh. So your small Bitcoin players are now betting on random Texas Senate district races on Poly. Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Remember NFTs? That whole wave, you don't hear about that anymore.
Well, child, I don't know. It just went by. Yeah, so, the crypto. I thought Trump was supposed.
At the moment of the consecration, there's a sacramental union between sign and thing signified, and that those who.
When you first strong woman, and then eventually you learn.
But again, you're calling yourself a strong woman. I didn't even have an opinion on you. I don't know.
You were very aggressive for someone who had no opinion. You were extremely opinionated for someone who'd never met me before. You came at me for no reason.
I don't even remember.
How do you know it was for no reason?
The first time.
I just never met her before. This random person suddenly is piling on with all the blowhard morons on this.
Maybe she listened to what you were saying.
I was off for 2 months, and when I came back, everybody was riled up by someone that apparently came in, and everybody was like insulting and whatever. I'm like, okay, so who is this person? And then you came in the room, and I wanted to hear what you gotta say, but everyone was so riled up, and you started insulting everyone. And I was like, okay, well, this is clearly not a woman in control of herself because she feels the need to insult everyone.
That's not how I remember what happened at all. I just remember piling on with all the fucking douchebag frat boy morons with 2 brain cells. I didn't understand what you were trying to do, trying to make them sound intelligent or something.
Hey, none of those guys are frat boys. Take that back.
I know none of us went to college, let's be real.
That's probably also true. So, let's not besmirch the good name of frat boys.
Sure, frat boys, here you go. Some of them like that.
That's hilarious.
It's all good. Listen, I'm just there's no point in rehashing. I see, like,
I'm not rehashing.
I think maybe it's not a pattern. Maybe it's just me and Emrose had the same reaction to you at the beginning, and maybe you'll eventually be best friends.
I doubt it, but
I don't see that. No offense,
listen, I mean,
but
like,
you're coming
I know.
off with a lot of micro identities. You're like classifying so much. It's like you're giving a pet, but then you're backhanded slap. It's like, well, which is it? You don't like her, or you don't fucking like her. Lisa doesn't give a shit whether you're a man or a woman. She'll stand on her principles, and if that makes her a strong person, then great. Does it make her a strong woman? I don't know. I know a lot of women who don't talk a lot and stand on their principles.
And I've had many, let's crucify Isa rooms, you know, where people comment, they're like, oh, because you're like this, or you allow this, or you allow that. I'm like, okay, I understand that I'm not gonna be liked by everyone, and this is a price I'm willing to pay, you know, if there are quote unquote friends that are going to stop talking to me because of the things I say, or how I behave, or the people I allow in my stages, or what I do. Well, so be it. I don't try to control anyone. And whoever wants to be around me is welcome to, and whoever wants to press the link button can do so as well. I really cannot force people, and I don't go to the lengths of manipulating people either. Like, if you like me, you like me. If you don't, fine. I can't force you. And that is my attitude towards every single person. And maybe that is the reason why people know where I stand and that I'm straightforward, and why people feel like they know what they're gonna get with me. I don't know. But and I don't care if you're strong, if you're not strong. I mean, if I like you, I like you. And if you like me, that's cool. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying, Buttercup. But another. You made me hungry, and now I'll have to have a glass of milk.
The suffering you're gonna go through, I'm so sorry.
Oh my God, please don't go into my conflict, my struggle right now.
Would you like to add some chocolate to that milk and make it a chocolate?
I'm going through all my cabinets so I can get this.
Honestly, it was in the fridge. I'm sorry if I'm making a noise.
No, it's okay. It's cute.
Is it whole milk or 2%?
Hold on, she's getting to the cow.
Semi-skimmed.
She's got to knock the cow out before she milks it.
Semi-skimmed because it's supermarket milk.
So I guess you won't be milking a cow today then.
No, but I usually go weekends to the farm that is behind my apartment, and I go get raw milk, and I love it. That's really nice. Oh, Buttercup left.
Good riddance.
Thanks for all the hearts, Brad.
I think the
problem is the lack of self-awareness with the quote-unquote strong women who you quote-unquote clash with.
I agree.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, being a strong, in my opinion, like, listen, I don't need to show my strength, you know, by, like, putting someone down or whatever. Like, if anything, what I struggle with, or what